thank you all for joining us this morning. So earlier this morning, I spoke with Boeing, and as we all know now, they confirmed their decision to consolidate the 787 manufacturing line in South Carolina. And we're obviously disappointed, but our top concern now is really with the families, workers, suppliers, and other businesses that this decision impacts. COVID has thrown our local and state, regional, national, international economy into turmoil. And so we very much understand the situation that Boeing is in. Air travel is a small percentage of what it was, not rebounding quickly. Demand for airplanes is down. So we totally understand the business decisions facing the Boeing company. But we're resilient here in Snohomish County. We remain Boeing's largest factory in their system. They've made substantial investments in Everett and Painfield, and we know the work on the 767, 777X, 747 for a few more years, and all the military work will continue in Everett and at Painfield, and we are going to do all we can to be good partners with the Boeing company and its workers. We really need to support the families and all affected. So we're going to continue to make investments in workforce development. We'll look for opportunities to diversify. We'll continue to make Painfield a great place for the Boeing company to do business in manufacturing aircraft. And we look forward to the future with the Boeing company in Snohomish County. So with that, I would like to introduce Everett Mayor Cassie Franklin.
Thank you, Executive. Good morning, everybody. This has been a tremendously difficult year for our city, for our economy, for our community. As Executive shared, this global pandemic has completely changed our way of life, causing sickness and tragic loss, anxiety and uncertainty, and widespread economic damage. Our aviation and aerospace sectors have been among those hardest hit due to the drastic reduction in air travel triggered by the pandemic. And I know that the Boeing company has faced serious challenges this year and that they did not arrive at this decision lightly. The impact of losing the 787 line here in Everett will be deeply felt throughout our community. We have been home to the Boeing company and its workers and families for more than 50 years, and Boeing has helped shape our character and culture as a city. We are incredibly sad to see our Dreamliner and the team that worked on it leave us, but we have a long history in aerospace and it's part of our DNA. Everett remains a world-class aviation and aerospace manufacturing center and home of the largest number of Boeing and aerospace employees, the most trained and talented and experienced in the industry. As Executive shared, we still produce the 747, the 767, and 777 airplanes, as well as their military derivatives, and are the proud home of the Composite Wing Center. So despite the challenging times we are all experiencing, I know that Boeing and aerospace sector will come back strong. And we in Everett will do all that we can to ensure that the company and our many aerospace partners, as well as our trained workforce, continue to thrive for years to come. Snohomish County and Everett will continue to focus on our economic recovery, supporting our local businesses and attracting new investment and jobs. We continue to support recent growth in advanced manufacturing, robotics, and healthcare, and soon Everett plans to introduce new incentives to attract investment in select industries with enormous potential, including biotech manufacturing, green energy technologies, and hydroponic agriculture. We will collaborate with Everett Community College, Washington State University, Workforce Snohomish, and Northwest Innovation Resource Center to retrain and tap the skills of our displaced workers. And in Everett, we are introducing new regulations to attract remote workers and home-based business owners. This has been the most challenging time in our lifetimes, but it's not the most challenging time in our city or county's history. We have weathered tough times before, and I have no doubt we will weather this as well. We're a strong and resilient community, and we will resume our course toward growth and prosperity. As I said, the economic recovery of all sectors is our top priority. I look forward to working with Snohomish County Executive Summers, Boeing, and our aerospace partners to continue to foster growth and innovation for the future of aerospace so that the world's best planes can continue to take flight from Everett. Thank you. And Executive, I think I'll turn it back to you to help field the Q&A part.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. First question is, has Boeing indicated to the government the precise number of jobs that will be leaving the county, and is there a total economic impact associated with that? So it's been indicated to me that about 900 jobs will be affected. Those are the jobs directly involved in constructing aircraft, and that the transition or the phasing out of the 787 line will really take place starting now and continuing through the middle of 2021. So really over the next 9 months. Do not have a total economic impact. I will say, this is devastating to the families that are involved and hurts our local economy. It is not as large as we had feared, and we will be working over the coming days to get further information and start to calculate the economic impact. Next question is to both the mayor and myself. Your tones working with Boeing in the future is in sharp contrast to Governor Inslee, who said the state will reassess its partnership and tax breaks with Boeing as a result of this move. Have you talked with Inslee about this? What is your decision to not so subtle threat? What is your reaction? Also, Mr. Summers, you talked with Boeing about what it plans to do with the empty space and any prospect of transmitting all or some of the 737 lines to Everett. All right. First of all, I have spoken with the governor and also Senator Murray. We really value having Boeing here in Snohomish County. They've been here for over 50 years. As we've already mentioned, their largest facility in their worldwide system remains in Everett, and their largest concentration of production capacity and activity remains in the Puget Sound region and Snohomish County. So we believe very strongly that we want to be continue to be good partners with the Boeing company. We understand the horrible economic realities of what they're facing as a company in the entire aerospace and many other businesses in this pandemic. So we're going to remain positive and do everything we can to support the families, the workers, and the company, and look towards the future. We've got to get through this together. So that is how we feel about it. And we really don't have local tax breaks or anything like that that we can do. In fact, frankly, the state tax breaks were eliminated last session, and they had to be because of the ruling in the world courts on that issue. But we're going to remain positive and just support the company, as I said. And Mayor, would you like to address that issue also?
Sure. Yeah. The loss of jobs for our workers and families is as the executive said, devastating, and it's deeply felt. But this Boeing is part of the fabric of our city and remains part of the fabric of our city. We are sad to see these 900 jobs go, to see our Dreamliner go, but we remain this strong aerospace leader, and I remain committed to growing aerospace. And I know that Boeing remains committed to Everett and Snohomish County. The company has invested billions in our region and will continue to invest and grow when they bounce back. I think, the way I see this is every single business, every single sector, from government to mom and pop shops to our major corporations, are taking a financial hit because of this pandemic. And we're all looking for someone to blame, but the COVID-19 is to blame. and we have to get through this public health and safety crisis and get to a point where we can get back to focusing on growing these jobs and getting additional aerospace jobs back. But right now it's really, the focus is what can we do to support the workers and the families that are impacted by this? What can we do to support our community? And villainizing anyone isn't working towards that goal.
There was a follow-up question on if Boeing has talked about what it plans to do with any empty space. We have not had that conversation, and frankly, as we've already mentioned, Boeing will continue to build 747s at the Everett plant for the next few years. The demand for that aircraft obviously is being less over time. Those large aircraft are not in demand, but they are building some freighters also still. The 767, 777X, both commercial and military versions of all those planes will continue. So I imagine they'll be the plant will still be up and running. Do not have any indication if there's any consideration for moving 737 lines.
I
Yes,
add, it's not in the company's best interest to not have that plant fully operational. So I am committed to working with the executive and Boeing to do what we can to get jobs back and make sure that our Everett plant is at full productivity as soon as the sector recovers. So what that is, what lines, what parts, what is still a big question, but I believe that the company is motivated to ensure that high levels of productivity in Everett as we grow.
The next question was Boeing has made noise for some time about moving. What did Everett, Snohomish County do to prepare for this? So we have been going through our budget process at Snohomish County. Our local economy is the same everywhere, has slowed substantially. And we are very much, as a county government, dependent on sales tax revenues as well as property tax. But sales tax in particular is hurt by economic downturns such as we're in. So we've been really reacting to this for over 6 months now. We had to eliminate about $25 million in expenditures for 2020 and close to $20 million again for 2021. So we are downsizing. We put in place hiring freezes at the county, cut out some projects to really reduce our spending, just asking our employees for furloughs in 2020 and possibly in 2021. We're doing everything we can to avoid layoffs at the county government, and so far we've been able to do that. But we've known this was coming for quite some time. So we have also pulled together our aerospace partnerships, which includes the city of Everett, Snohomish County, our educational institutions, a number of organizations around the county to talk about the what ifs if the 787 line is really shut down in Everett. And what we've really come up with is we really need to focus on the future. We need to double down on our efforts for workforce development. We need to look for opportunities to diversify our economy. And we just really have to have the programs in place to help the workers transition either to other jobs or really transition their skill sets. So we're going to focus on workforce education, but our budgets reflect the downturn in the economy already. As I say, we have been in this for over 6 months now, and this is kind of a continuation of what we've been experiencing. Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Executive. We've certainly been quickly addressing the losses in revenue that we've seen this year and planning for next year with those dramatically reduced revenues. I just presented a balanced budget to our city council, cut about $18 million out of our budget because of the loss that we are anticipating across all industries, not just Boeing and aerospace. So Boeing and aerospace is our largest sector in the city. And so we are estimating what those losses will be and have made the steps necessary, everything from furloughing and voluntary separations and layoffs in the city and changing our business models to be as efficient and as effective as possible and reducing service levels. But as I shared in my opening remarks, we're very much focused on economic recovery and the diversification of our economy and how we can work across the region to incentivize new industries to seize this opportunity in this moment to come into Everett and Snohomish County, what we can do to be a strong business-friendly community, and what we can do to work in partnership with the county and workforce to help those displaced workers that are highly trained and highly skilled during this time, and retrain them and tap their skill set to bring into these other sectors and other industries until the aerospace sector recovers.
There was a follow-up question asking if we have any numbers to quantify the economic impact, sales tax loss, et cetera. Really do not at this time have those numbers. We have seen a significant drop off in sales tax through the COVID shutdown that we've experienced. We were fearful that the loss in sales tax could be in the 20-25% range or worse. I think what we've experienced so far is in the 10 to 15% range so far, and that's not Boeing related specifically. That's just the economic downturn. I think one saving grace that we've seen is a lot of people switch to online purchases, and sales tax is paid on those purchases, so that's helped soften the blow somewhat. Um, Question, can you either of you talk about the supply chain impact here locally for those companies that supply Boeing? And is there a sense of betrayal? Any concerns about this being just the beginning of Boeing's exit strategy? Would you like to start, Mayor, or shall I?
Sure. I think this is always the rumor. Boeing's leaving Everett. Boeing's leaving Snohomish County, and Boeing is not leaving Everett and Snohomish County. Again, we are devastated to hear that this line is leaving, but we remain the largest manufacturing plant in the world. We have the largest number of aerospace jobs here in Everett, and we will work to grow them back to the levels that we would like to see. Boeing isn't leaving, and this isn't a betrayal. This is a company making a decision, a really difficult decision in unprecedented times that we are in and living in today, just like we all are. I had to lay off workforce, more than 100 people in the city of Everett, and that was devastating for me. It's devastating for our community and certainly for those families, but it's not a decision that anyone makes lightly. It's decisions that we all have to make to deal with the economic impacts of this pandemic. So, and sorry, I missed the other part of the question, Executive.
I think you got it. Or any concerns about this just being the beginning of Boeing's exit strategy? I think you addressed that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I want to say also, I feel no sense of betrayal in this decision. We've known for quite some time that the aerospace industry is badly. The demand for travel is way down. The demand for aircraft is way down. Boeing, at the end of the day, makes aircraft, and so this has been a very tough decision that they've had to make, and we've known something was coming one way or another. So I do not feel betrayal at all. In fact, Boeing is part of our local family. What it feels like is we've got a family member in trouble, and what we need to do is support each other. So, and Boeing, in my discussions with them, has indicated time and time again, this is not about unions, or it's not about Washington State or anything of the nature. It's an economic reality and a business decision. Boeing has made significant major investments in Everett over the last few years with the wing plant, over $1 billion. And again, the Everett plant is their largest facility. That you just can't replace a facility like that elsewhere. They don't have that capacity. So a significant part of Boeing's capacity and workforce will remain in Everett, and so we need to support them. But I do not see any scenario where Boeing is leaving. Uh, Things like this happen. We've been through downturns before. I first moved to go to the University of Washington back in the early 70s, and the sign was out, last person leaving Seattle, please turn out the lights. Well, again, we've been through this before. and we'll get through this one again. We just have to be resilient and support each other. Um, there was a question that we did not answer regarding Governor Inslee's threat. Could you respond? It can't be helpful. So let me say that frankly, it's a bit like a gut punch to me when I see family members having a tussle. And the Boeing Company has been a great part of Puget Sound and the Washington State economy. They will continue to be. And Mayor Franklin and I know, are committed to trying to build the relationships, the positive relationships for the future, and with the governor's office, with the unions, with the company. We see that as the most productive path to the future. So I can't really speak for the governor. I know he is extremely disappointed, but my view is the best way forward, and the way I personally feel about it is to be supportive, understanding, and look to the future.
Yeah, I think executives uh, referencing the family strife is very relevant. It does feel like that. You know, it's we all work together in this state and across the region. We don't all always agree, but we all care deeply and passionately about the residents and people and businesses in our communities, and what actions we have to take to protect them. You know, sometimes we differ on methods, but we really all come from the same place of really wanting the best for our residents and for our community. And so I look forward to working with Executive Summers to strengthen our partnership with all of these partners, whether it's our unions, our companies, such as Boeing that's struggling right now, the governor's office, and others, to ensure that we can protect the businesses in our region and our state, and do what's right for our communities to ensure that there's a strong job base here into the future.
Good question for you, Mayor. Can you speak to the big picture hit to the local economy from job losses on the line, but also the families lost activity for local businesses who may see fewer Boeing workers, et cetera?
Sure. You know, I've said this before. There isn't a family in Everett that isn't impacted by losses at Boeing. My husband's father worked at Boeing his entire career. Every home has a sister, a mother, an uncle, somebody that is a part of the Boeing company. So we all feel these losses, and there's a ripple effect across industry. So it's not just the number of planes that are going down that we're producing in the city and the revenue that creates and the jobs. It's the retail and restaurants and all the other sectors that will be impacted. So there is a financial impact, and then certainly a community impact in folks that have lost their livelihoods, and now we need to come together to support them and find new careers for them, either short or long term. So it is a significant financial impact. I haven't calculated all that out, and just like I can't share all the details because that is confidential information, but I can tell you that it is a significant financial impact, and when we have been planning for what we have been anticipating in losses based on what we're seeing from this pandemic.
So follow up on that question, what, if anything more, might the county or city do to offset the impact both for workers and local businesses? Go ahead.
Well, we're doing what we can, as I think I've shared. Is it's about tapping into the skills of these displaced workers, working to attract new investment. I know I've been in very close contact with my economic development team, and we've been working in close collaboration with Executive Summers Economic Recovery and with partners at Economic Alliance and the Greater Seattle Partners to really ensure that we are focused on recovery and aggressive recruitment of new industries to kind of help us weather this storm and diversify our economy. So that's what we are doing.
Next question. Could you have done anything to stop the company from leaving? And would you try to recruit Boeing's main competitor, Airbus? Well, first of all, uh, I think Airbus is in the exact same situation that Boeing is in. The worldwide demand for aircraft has fallen precipitously. People are not traveling. In fact, we can't travel internationally hardly, and it's going to be some time before we can. So the entire industry is hurting. So I think there's really not much profit to be gained from really talking with Airbus or anything like that. But we are an aerospace manufacturing community. It's in our history, it's in our blood. We have the best workers in the world here. We've got a lot of talent and suppliers and supply chain. So we will continue to let businesses from around the world know that we are open for business here in Snohomish County. And we really value our companies. We value the businesses that choose to do business here from Snohomish County. So we'll look for opportunities to diversify. In terms of stopping the company from leaving, we really do not have the tools to do that. At the end of the day, all the pieces of the construction process that Boeing needs to do the 787 are located around Charleston and on the East Coast. There is one piece of the fuselage for the plane that is too large to transport via the Dreamlifter to Everett. So it's my understanding that was a big part of the problem, and it would have entailed a very significant expenditure on Boeing's part in excess of $1 billion to relocate the entire chain just to Everett. So um, obviously when you're not selling planes, planes aren't going out the door, and you're not delivering planes, making an investment like that wouldn't make much sense for Boeing. So we're going to focus on workforce. We're going to focus on the work that remains in Everett, try to keep our capacity, our workforce, our education system really as strong as we possibly can. Do you have any other response to that, Mayor?
Yeah, I think that we have been working in close partnership to grow and expand the aerospace industry. And pre-pandemic, we were right on track. We were on a fantastic growth trajectory, and then COVID-19 hit. So this isn't, fighting to retain jobs between, one half of the country and the other half of the country. This is just fighting to retain the sector in what is a incredibly challenging economic downturn. So this isn't. We will continue to work to grow aerospace, but right now the pandemic is what's causing this. It is not something else. Executive Summers and I know our other regional partners are committed to making an incredibly business friendly community, because that brings and secures jobs for our local families. And that's what's most important, protecting those jobs and growing those jobs into the future. So when this industry recovers, we will be right on track again to do that and to be working towards growth and prosperity. But right now we're focused on recovery, retraining that workforce, and supporting these families through this trying time.
So there was a question that the earlier question about supply chain impacts got lost. Could we address the impacts to supply chain? I really don't have any specific numbers that I can share with you. The supply chain will continue to supply the construction no matter where it takes place. So I do know that supply chain companies, smaller manufacturers, have been hurting already just because of the reduction in the manufacturing numbers of aircraft. So that's continues to be in effect, but I do not have specific numbers about supply chain. Sorry.
Yeah, and I don't either. I think that, there's always the fear that, this means all those supply chain companies are going to move. But as we've shared, the entire industry, the entire aerospace industry is hurting. And so they're going to do what makes the most financial sense. And the losses that they're experiencing are directly related to the pandemic and the lack of, the loss in production. But where the company is doesn't necessarily change where our supply chain companies are. They can continue to work, and a lot of our supply chain companies aren't just working on one line; they're working on multiple lines, and they're selling to Airbus as well. So it's they can transport those parts around the world, and they do, and they will continue to do that. And we're certainly going to work together to support those companies and help them weather this challenging time.
Let's see. Let's see. When you're talking about retraining, it sounds temporary. How long do you think these workers will need to do something else? And what kind of investment in them makes sense? Can they really count on getting back to aerospace? So let me say, we think, and I, Boeing shared this with us, that they think the impacts of the COVID pandemic are going to last several years at least. It's going to be some time before the aerospace industry and the travel industry and everything that goes with it will rebound from this. So we've got several years here. So it always makes sense to invest in your young folks and in your workers. I mean, that is how we will attract other businesses and companies. I know there's a small aircraft manufacturer uh, who is going to specialize on the um, electrically driven powered aircraft is decided to relocate put their main plant up in Arlington at the Cascade Industrial Center. We know there will be expanding opportunities in the space flight front, major investments made by governments and businesses around the world. There's a number of technologies that are coming online. So we really have to continue to be a place that has just some of the best workers and best trained people. So it's going to be several years, but continuing to invest in education and training is one of the best ways we can support folks. So uh, aerospace workers may not be directly in the same sector of aerospace that you're in now, but manufacturing with new materials and the technologies that are emerging is a great place to invest and to train our workers. So we'll continue to do that. Mayor, would you like to address that?
No, I think you covered it. It's the same. I've heard that it's going to take years to recover, and we will work closely to ensure that we're bringing complementary businesses and so that we can get retrain our workers as quickly as possible, and also be poised for that future growth in the sector. I think the aerospace sector will come back. We all can't wait to travel again, and so that will happen, and it just will take us some time first to recover from the health and safety crisis of the pandemic, and then our economy.
Um, let's see. Opportunities to lure other types of businesses in Snohomish County to diversify, and what types those could be. Well, we already are a center for medical biomed industry. We've got a cluster down in South County that's very strong. Obviously, the nature of commerce is changing. You see what's happening with Amazon in King County with their diversifying out into Bellevue, and I know that they are looking for other locations for facilities. I think the whole shift to e-commerce is actually creating some opportunities for the future. I've already mentioned space, um, and there's when there's a major disruption like this, it's extremely painful, but there's new opportunities that really spring forth from that. And in order to really take advantage and be an attractive place, one, we have to be a business friendly community, which we are. We very much appreciate our companies and we want them to know that. And so if companies looking to come to Snohomish County or the city of Everett, we'll do everything we can to set up the processes so that we can really support them. And that's what we tried to do at Painfield with Boeing. I know they're appreciative of the relationship we have there. So we want to apply that to others that might want to come to Snohomish County and to Everett. And I've already mentioned time and time again, workforce. Before the pandemic, that was a concern on every company's mind was not enough skilled workers. And as we move into the future and new opportunities come up, that's going to continue to be a critical factor. So that's why we need to invest there.
Yeah, I'll just add, I mean, aerospace is our largest industry. We also are the home to Naval Station Everett. It's our second largest employer, and we continue to focus on their growth. We are a major healthcare center here in the city of Everett, and we will continue to focus on growth in that sector, working in partnership with WSU and Everett Community College. And as I shared, tech and biotech technologies, the green economy and green energy technologies. There is a number of sectors that we are aggressively pursuing and working across the region to ensure that these jobs and other industries are welcome to Everett and Snohomish County.
Let's see. Boeing said its forecast about industry recovery will be around 2024, 2025. Knowing that this day probably was coming, have either of you begun a process looking um, ahead to Boeing's next new airplane, whatever this is, and how the FAL could be located in Everett? Yes, we have been thinking about that prior to the pandemic. We were really trying to position ourselves and think about everything we could do to make Everett the best place to do the NMA, the new midsize aircraft. The discussions over the last year that we're privy to in the aerospace industry are that companies are looking both at the travel industry, airline industry, but also for construction for potentially a new small aircraft. And so we want to continue being a great place to do work and again positioning ourselves to make the argument that Everett and Painfield would be the best place for the next aircraft, whatever size it is. There's amazing capacity at the Everett plant. The wing plant is there, composite wing plant. We have a great workforce, very skilled. The best airplanes coming out of the Boeing system are coming out of Everett in the Puget Sound region. So we need to just again keep our fundamentals strong and focus on the fundamentals, and that'll position us best for the next aircraft.
Yeah, Executive Summers covered that beautifully. We are simply the best place for their next line, for the next aircraft to be built. It is, we have the experience, we have the facility, we have the workforce, we have the community that will embrace it, and we will continue to work towards that goal as we get towards the end of this difficult economic time and get back towards growth.
So, question: Governor Inslee said today that Boeing's decision to take the 787 to South Carolina necessitates a review of our partnership and the company's favorable tax treatment. Do you agree? And is it time for a political reconsideration of the relationship? Well, first of all, it makes me feel like, yes, we need to focus on the relationship and make it stronger, frankly. I'm not reassessing anything except that it's a time to really reflect on how important the Boeing company and all its workers and all the families and supply chain are to Snohomish County, the city of Everett, and the state of Washington. And it's time to look at how we strengthen that partnership and support each other through this. I do not see this as a time for division. And as I already mentioned, the favorable tax treatment, Boeing does not have any favorable tax treatment currently in the state of Washington. That was eliminated last year to the aerospace industry. So I'm not sure, what tax treatment in the future might be, but I think we need to look at opportunities. We are in a worldwide competition for jobs and companies, and we need to recognize that we've got to pull together and really figure out how to keep this a great place to do business, keep our region and our county and our city a great place to do business. So that's the only reconsideration I'm doing of the relationship.
Yeah, this should be the most business friendly state in the country. We have to be working feverishly hard to protect our jobs, to retain the businesses that we have, and work towards growth. As the executive shared, it's not a time to vision what our community needs is hope and a strong and prosperous future. that's what we are going to continue to work towards together with the governor's office, together with our companies, to do everything we can for our residents and families. And I know, Executive, I think we're getting told to wrap up. So I'm getting multiple chat messages. I'm not sure if you've seen them, so just wanted to give you a heads up there.
Yeah, we'll wrap up. And sorry for the dog, but uh, just thank you for your time today. You know, these are tough times. We're going to get through them as a community and look for ways to support each other.